Hello and welcome back to Land Rover, and thank you guys for subscribing, liking, and commenting. Much appreciated. I always like the comments, and please subscribe to the channel if you're watching the video, and there'll be plenty more Land Rover to watch the restoration of it. So in this video, and now we're going to be talking about the front brakes. The front brake pipes that are going around. So the one side, the right hand side, this is the piece here. Whenever I was cutting the frame, I accidentally cut and chopped the end off there a little bit. So this one's going to get shortened up for the front end. And then for the longer one, it's the one that goes from over here to there. We'll be talking about that some more. But so what I did out in the driveway when I got the brakes working is I made one piece come over to a union underneath the transmission and then continue on to the wheel cylinder. So I'm going to take out this union because it's just an extra point for it to start leaking or get air into the system. And I'm going to reroute this one. So let's go over to the truck and I'll show you. You've seen this brake tool before in my other videos, so I'm just going to show it again real quick. So here's the pipeline, brake line, and one end of it is a bubble flare. It's on this end. And then the other end over here gets one of these fittings, and it takes an inverted flare. So what you do, you take your fitting, put it on. You got the handy dandy brake tool here. You use the one with the 45 on it up here for the 3/16 line. Put that in there. Put the lock over. You have some of the brake line out. You kind of tighten it up a little bit. Just snug it. Pull this to operation 0, which takes it and pushes it in and lines it up with the die. Then you turn it. And down here it says operation 1 for 3/16. You turn that. The first does the kind of a bubble flare, and then you flip it over to operation number 2. Then instantly you have yourself a flared brake line. See how easy that is? And there you go. Now you got yourself a brake line. I would strongly suggest anybody that's going to be making a lot of brake lines or in the future of any other type of car that you have, is this tool is great. It does bubble flares and also does inverted flares, as you can see, and your DIN bubble flare. So I definitely say invest in one of these. Alrighty. A friend of mine from Scotland, George Porteous, sent me a video of a brake flaring tool, which is a little bit smaller and more portable, but it uses the exact same concept as the one I just showed. So here's the video. Enjoy it.
Okay, this is a quick demonstration for Corey. So this is the brake flaring tool. I already inserted the brake line in because I only have one hand. So what you do, you put the line in, and then it kind of pokes out here and you can see it moving. So what you do is you just hand tighten these down like so. You then insert this, which is the end stop. So that goes in there, and that pushes the line. If you tighten that up, that pushes the line back to where it needs to be. So it's the exact correct. You tighten that all the way in, and then that pushes the line back to where it should be. You then tighten these 2 bolts here, screw them right down so the line is hard fixed in place. You then use some of this grease. Effectively it's just red rubber grease. Put it on the end, whack that in there, and that will flare the line. And then if you need to double flare it for that end, you then turn it around, you can see it there, and then put that in also as well. And then once that's done, you end up with, if you can see that well, you end up with No, it's not focusing. Lovely flares, like so. Oh, it's not focusing, but well, there we go. So yeah, it gives perfect flares every time. Yeah, first time I've used it, and I have to say I'm very impressed. I think it's pretty much a generic brand that's been copied. I think it's patents out on it, but I'll see if I can find a link. I'm sure you'll find one if you need one. Hope this helps, and I hope you will. Cheers, Corey. Bye.
If you're interested in finding out about British fittings and different things, go to fedhill.com or Federal Hill brake parts. And this is not, they are not sponsored. None of my videos are sponsored by anybody besides myself. So this is just has a lot of good information about different fittings and different kind of flares and different different things. So if you ever need brake fittings for your Land Rover or anything else, I think they probably carry everything in there pretty reasonably. We're over at the truck, and the one I just said I was going to think about rerouting the line, I changed my mind and went with the stock routing of the brake lines. So here's the right-hand side. Right here's the union. This comes down from the brake master cylinder. This goes over to the rear wheels. This goes over here to the right-hand side, over to here. Then the one on the back goes over to the left-hand side, driver's side. So what I was thinking about doing was taking this line that goes down underneath. Instead of going, I was thinking about going this way with it and going across over to here. And whenever I measured it out, it was just the same length as going the other way, underneath. I'll show you underneath the truck here, the way it goes. But so I decided the radiator and everything might be a pain in the butt or be in the way here. So I just went and I'm going to just do it the stock way underneath. So this is the one that I hacked off. I accidentally cut it whenever I was working on the frame. So I just cut it off a little bit and put a new connector on the end, a connector fitting on the end. And here's the bracket that I made back in, was that video 37. I talk about this one in part 37 of this bracket. So here's your 1-ton rubber brake lines coming around. So then from here, it goes around over to the wheel cylinder 1. And then it goes from there, goes up underneath, over to here to where the brake bleeder is and everything. So let's go underneath the truck and I'll show you how this one here, it goes back. You can kind of see it underneath there. It kind of snakes back underneath. So we'll go underneath the truck here. So now we're down underneath the truck. Up here is where the 4-way is. It comes down over, loops down to a clip, goes underneath the transmission along the frame here, goes down, then goes up, and goes back up. Kind of like the same path that's over here. Goes up, down, over, and around, and goes up that way. Then we'll go over to this side of the truck now. Now we're looking here, see where it was coming up here. It goes up underneath the bulkhead. Goes along the frame here, goes up on top, goes here, snakes down to the new bracket that we made. Like I mentioned before, I made the same one over here. Goes around, we got our connector piece there, and goes down around to the wheel cylinders. So I got the 3 clips underneath there holding the brake line on. I ordered some more clips, so then I'm going to put another one here to keep it away from the steering. Then I'm going to clip that other side as well over there, and along with the one that's going on that back to the rear too. I don't have that one clipped in, so you'll be seeing the clips in another video. So I checked all the fittings coming out of our reservoir, coming down to our clutch, our brake, and everything. I checked all the fittings, so I think I'm ready to add some fluid. So I'm going to add some fluid and see if we have any drips. All the exciting. It might actually be able to put some brake fluid in. Feels like another amazing accomplishment. Okay. Well, since I was excited about actually being able to put brake fluid in, I filled up the brake system with fluid, and I ordered off eBay a nifty little pressure bleeder. It was roughly about $18, wasn't much at all, 18 US, shipped and everything from China. So what you do is you have a fluid bottle here, you fill it up with brake fluid. This comes up here as a pressure tube, and it goes onto your brake reservoir. And in the advertisement, it came with a few different lids, and I'll show you those in a minute. In the ad, it said it came with a lid that fit on a Girling, and this is a Girling brake system or whatever. This is the company that made them back then. So it fit on here, and it fits on there nice and tight too. And you have done, let's continue on the system. So this goes up here, you fill up your brake system. So then you have your pressure bleeder. This is your fill it up with fluid, like I said. This comes over, and you put it onto a spare tire. Like I pumped up, this is a Volkswagen spare tire I had laying around. So I pumped up the tire, and then it comes with a nozzle which actually broke. This is one from a tire pump that I had to splice in because, you know, it is Chinese made, so what do you expect? So this goes on there, and then you just kind of put it on just like you're pumping up a tire. So once that's on there, this has a little air valve right here. Make sure this is closed before you hook it up to the tire, the spare tire. So it holds out the pressure, so this doesn't get pressurized quite yet. So then what I did is I opened this up, maybe a quarter turn, just a little bit. I opened it up, and then the fluid started flowing up through the hose and came up to here. So then this is pressurized roughly, you know, you don't want any more than 15 pounds of pressure going through here. So that's why a tire might be pumped up to 40 PSI or 30, but you only open this up a little bit to let a little bit of air through. I mean, I only did like maybe a half a turn, and it was plenty of pressure to come up through here. And I'll tell you honestly, I opened it up too far the first time, and I wasn't even looking at the brake reservoir. I was looking down at the wheel, watching the fluid come out, and I looked up, and it was just running out over it, over pressured the seal inside here, and it was all running down all over my nice paint job here. So I had to clean that all up and get that all clean, but then I realized I only opened this little valve here just a little bit, just to get a little bit of pressure going in there, not a whole lot. So okay, so you have your pressure. Okay, now it's pressurized. So what do you do now? Since my system was open, it was all completely open, I had to crack this open a little bit to let a little bit of fluid come through. And then up here, I read inside the owner's manual, there's might be an air pocket sitting up in here. So I cracked this open too until a little bit of fluid came out, and then I closed this off. So I come down, this was still had plenty of fluid in it. And then I went to, actually I went to the furthest wheel away from the wheel cylinder, which would be from your master cylinder. That wheel cylinder is the furthest one away. So I went back there and I opened that up, and tons of air came out, and then the fluid started flowing out. It still had air bubbles in it, so I wasn't worried about it. Then I went over to the other side, then I went to that side, and then I went to this side. Actually, I should have went to this side because this is further away, even though it's closer to the master cylinder. But anyway, so I went around, did all four wheels, and then I went around again, did all four wheels again. And by the time I went around the first time, I had to fill this back up again. So fill back up, tighten this off, relieve the pressure, untwist the bottle, fill it up with brake fluid again. Then I went around again. The second time, I think I got all the air out of the system. I mean, there was nothing, there still was a little bit coming out, but then that was it. And then it stopped. My pedal is okay. We're about halfway with pressure until it stops. We're not all the way down to the floor, but we're about halfway. So I have a feeling that there's an air pocket sitting up here, and I'll give it another bleeding. Once I get wheels on it, they suggested in the manual to try to jack up, lift the front end until this is level. They'll get the air out of this pocket right here, because there's an air pocket in there. So anyway, so this is the pressure bleeder, 18 bucks on eBay. It was not a bad deal, and it worked pretty good with the bleeders. Okay, let me show you the other lids it came with. So if you have another car you can also use it on there. So it comes with some extra hose here, which I could have used. But anyways, it comes with extra hose and see some other caps for smaller, different size brake reservoirs. And it came with some instructions as well, which, you know, nobody reads them things. But anyways, the pressure on it is you don't want to be very high pressure in it when you're doing it. So the brake system's all bled for now, enough to get me at least half a pedal. So I'm good with the brakes for now. I'll those in the next video. So thank you very much. Please subscribe, like. Thank you for sharing your comments and everything. And I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.